Hello, my name is Harley. I'm here with Zoey and Abdel, and we are going to discuss the Heartbleed bug exploit. We'll give you a little intro on what the exploit is, when it was first discovered, how to patch it, how to update, potential for future exploits, and then a brief summary. Getting into the Heartbleed bug exploit.
Let's answer those four questions to better understand the Heartbleed exploits. First is a critical security vulnerability discovered in April 2014 within a widely used OpenSSL cryptographic software library. Second, the Heartbleed exploit targets a vulnerability in the OpenSSL library's implementation of the transport layer security, TLS, Heartbeat extension. Third, the Heartbleed exploit is a critical security vulnerability that affects the OpenSSL cryptographic software library, specifically version 1.0.1 through 1.0.2-beta. The Heartbeat exploit can leak sensitive information from a server memory, for example, username, password, private key, personal identifiable information known as PII, and encryption keys, and others.
So an example of how the exploit works, as Abdel was talking about, it exploits a vulnerability and it damages the security communications between SSO and TLS servers and clients because it weakens the Heartbeat extension. So normally a client would ask a server for a response to verify that it was there. That's kind of like the handshake. In the malicious usage, the client would ask the server for the response and the server would just continually leave that connection open, essentially bleeding out memory buffers that can be used for both information and system resources.
So to do the exploit, open a distribution of Linux and run an nmap scan to find the vulnerable port. And the last version of the scan, we were able to locate the vulnerable SSL port itself, which in this case is 443. It's commonly also 8443 or 445. Open up Metasploit and enter show exploits. We want to use one, which is the auxiliary server OpenSSL Heartbleed exploit. If you use 0, it's the Heartbleed memory exploit, which will capture all the memory of a system used in crypto hacking. So the next step is set the R host to the IP address of the victim machine, set the R port to the port that you are going after, show options to confirm the settings. And if you're using Docker, you're going to use the set action scan command and run, and the set action dump command and run, and you're going to see the Heartbeat response with leak showing that that is a vulnerable port with information to be exploited and captured. And what returns is the login credentials, which can be captured with the Heartbleed Python script. And then we see the handshake with the interception in the middle of the handshake of our script. And the data is all the data that is captured in that moment between the black hat posing as the client and the server returning all the data. And in this case, we have the PHP session ID and the user ID, user email, and the server, which is Amazon AWS. And the email in this case says SSL is bad, or all the contents of the email or other data would be revealed, including sensitive information. And this can also be used as a foothold to continue with other exploits. And this is generally patched in the virtual machine world. 5 or 6 machines we tested were already had their SSL version updated. However, Internet of Things and older machines do not have this yet patched.
I will start with the script that can be used as a start point for patching vulnerable systems. As you can see, it starts from shebangs or hashbang and necessary variables, and removing any existing OpenSSL directory. Then next, downloading and extracting the OpenSSL source code. Patching is start with configuration and building and installing OpenSSL with the specified installation directory, updating library cache, and verifying the installation by checking the OpenSSL version, and lastly, cleaning up the temporary files, as you can see on the right.
Okay, so we'll talk about potential for future exploits. As Abdel and Zoey both said, there are still many machines running the vulnerable OpenSSL versions that are out there. The graph on the right shows a distribution by country with the most targeted SSL servers. As you can see, the United States is still the primary targeted country for SSL exploitation. In summary, make sure your computers are updated. Here's an article that talks about the Heartbleed vulnerability still being unpatched 5 years after it was discovered. Granted, this is a few years ago, but as we had talked about, there's still plenty of machines that are open and ready for hackers to get in there and exploit system resources and or information.
And at the time this exploit was discovered, the big tech companies realized that everyone was using this SSL coding, which had never been updated, and it was created by two guys out of their homes with no company funding whatsoever. So the larger tech firms got together and created funding for open source technology with the creation of the Linux Foundation so that these sort of exploits would not be continuing in the future.
How we're gonna know is my system are up to date. First is sslab.com. You can test your server, they will give you a grade. And the second is openssl.org. That will be checking if what it is the latest version out there.